Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Saturday Satsang. In this case, it's Halloween Satsang. Halloween Satsang. If this is the first time you've been to this, then my nose is not usually this red. And this is, on Halloween, we like to dress up, right? Children dress up as their favorite characters or monsters or ghosts or they're superheroes or a princess or whatever it is. They're dressing up as something else to have fun and dressing up as something else. And even adults do this in costume parties and things like that. People like to dress up as something else besides what they are, right? In this case, this is the costume of the fool. And the fool has a long history in the court of kings. The fool is a way for the king not to take himself so seriously, which is very important. And they knew this in the courts. They understood that if you take yourself so seriously, problems, trouble will arise for sure. It will follow this seriousness like its shadow. And so the jester, the fool, was there to poke fun at the king. And the king hired him to do this particular job, to be made fun of, so he would stop taking himself so seriously. There's a tendency for kings to take themselves very seriously. There's a tendency for all of us to take ourselves very seriously. And when we do, this creates problems. So this is the costume of the jester, of the fool. Even in Native American cultures, the coyote was meant to disrupt the seriousness of the rituals and the way the tribe was, to do the opposite of what they did. So they wouldn't take it so seriously, so they wouldn't be so attached to their role. So on Halloween, we like to dress up and try on different roles. But we're always having a role in some way, aren't we? We're always creating a role. I mean, for a long time, I had the role of being an artist and a creative genius. That was my role in life, not only for my job and with my clients, but with my family as well. They considered, oh, it's okay if he does that. He's a creative genius. So I could get away with a lot of things because that was my role. The problem was I believed that role too. Other people believed it, but so did I. And often I took it seriously. And of course, that just led to trouble, to suffering for myself and others. It would be better if I had the creative genius hat, but also this nose. This nose is a way to say, it's okay, don't take it so seriously. It's not real. Your role is not real. So we have these many, many roles in our life. We can be a parent, a husband, a wife, a child. Each of our moods that we have is another role. We can be the sad victim, right? Often if we're suffering, we're the sad victim. Oh, woe is me. My life is terrible. And we're taking this role seriously. I was just diagnosed as cancer. It's terrible. What am I going to do? What about me? We take this role seriously and so we suffer. But this is a role too, just as the happy role is a role. And I could have the role here as a spiritual teacher, but if I'm wearing this nose, I don't take this seriously. In fact, I don't have this role. You may see me in this role when I take this off. You may see me having a role of a monk with a shaved head. a spiritual teacher, and you come here to hear what I'm saying because I'm a spiritual teacher, and this is the role that you see me playing. But the truth is, I don't have any role. From my perspective, there's no role. I do still create paintings, but I don't have the role of an artist anymore. I don't see myself as an artist. I don't see myself as a spiritual teacher. I don't see myself as a monk. I don't see myself as anything at all. I have no role. And this is freedom. So Halloween is a reminder of these roles that we put on. And even as little children, we're trying on these roles. We're trying on the role of the superhero. We're trying on the role of the princess. We're trying on the role of the king, or whatever we're doing, we're trying on these roles. And we continue doing this throughout our life. And as adults, we kind of get a role and we believe, this is my role. This is who I am. This is who I am in this world. And other people agree with this, just as I had the role of the creative artist and everybody agreed with this. This is the creative genius, this is the person, he's going to solve all our problems when I went to companies. And I had a great deal of respect for this. But it was a role. And the fact that I believe that role helped other people believe it too. So we all forgot that it was a role. And we all suffered because we forgot that it was a role. None of us knew what was really going on. I didn't know who I was. All I saw was a role. Other people didn't see who I was either. They just saw a role. Not just the creative genius role, but many roles. The role of a father, the role of a husband, the role of a friend, the role of a child. Different people saw me in different ways and saw these roles, and I played these roles and I believed these roles as well. And if we look at our own life, we can go back, see how we were in the past and remember, oh, that was the role when I was the lover. That was the role when I was the victim. That was the role when I was the hero. We have many roles in our life. And often we take these roles seriously. I mean, if you're suffering, you take this victim role seriously, don't you? You believe this role of a victim. You believe this role of someone who's suffering. And that's why you're suffering. If you didn't believe this role, would you be suffering? Of course not. The freedom from suffering comes from letting go of all roles. Because these roles are illusions. When you see a young child come to your door on Halloween and they're dressed up like a superhero, are they really a superhero? Is that really Superman or Spider-Man or Batman? He's only 3 feet tall. You know this is a child dressed up and making believe. You don't believe that role. You don't say, oh my God, it's Batman. You could say that to flatter the child, but you don't believe it. You know it's a role. But so is your role as the adult, as the parent, as the homeowner, as whatever your job is. That's also a role. Often when people retire, if they've had a successful business or career, they identify with this role, and then they wonder when they retire, then who am I? Who am I if I'm not the artist? Who am I if I'm not the creative genius? If I'm not the film director? Who am I? Well, maybe I'm a monk. Maybe I'm a Zen student. Maybe I'm a spiritual seeker. Maybe I'm an awakened teacher. So we're looking for these other roles, another role to take the place of the role that we left behind. But these roles are fiction too. These are just more fantasies. These are more dress up. And perhaps this Halloween, that can remind you of that. Everybody's dressing up. And if you don't put on a costume, you're still putting on a costume. Every morning that you wake up, you're putting on a costume. You're putting on a role. It's not important what that role is. Hero, victim, superhero, parent, child, spouse. It's not important what the role is. What's important is that you believe this role is real. You believe your identity is real. Who am I? That's the question that Ramana Maharshi had asked us to question deeply. Who is this I? What are these roles that I think I am? What are these roles that I take so seriously? The story of me in my life. I take this so seriously. The story of me in my life. I cannot express what a burden this is, what a prison this is. And this is why you experience suffering, because you believe these roles, you believe these prisons. And although you've always been entirely free, you can't know it when you identify with this self. Because this self itself is a prison. It's an illusion, but it imprisons you. It's an illusion that imprisons you and doesn't allow you to experience life as it is. The enormous freedom and beauty, love, peace, bliss that is here in life all the time. And you can't experience this if you identify with a separate self, if you identify with these different roles. These roles are dreams. You may not be putting on a costume in the same way that you do on Halloween, or the children do on Halloween, but you are putting on a costume. You know, when you engage with different people, if you go and spend time with your parents, then you're a child, you're a son or daughter of your parent. And they see you as their son or daughter. And you see them as your parent, as your mother or father. If you're a grandparent, then you know your grandchildren see you as grandpa or grandma, and you see them as your grandchildren. You love them, but you're still seeing yourself in this role as they see you in this role. You believe this role is real. It's not. It's an illusion. It's a figment of your imagination. Whatever you think you are is a figment of your imagination. It's not real. Any identity that you have is not real. It's a costume. It's a Halloween costume. You may have kept it your whole life, but it's always been a costume. And society and everyone you know reinforces this. Your parents reinforce the costume of the son or daughter. Your children reinforce the costume of the parent. Your friends reinforce the costume of a friend. Your spouse reinforces the costume of a husband or wife. And whatever role you play in your job or at work, your employees or your boss or the other people you work with reinforce your role as that career. And you believe it too, because it's reinforced all the time. So you accept this as real. And because of this, you don't know this great freedom. You don't know this great freedom of waking up from this illusion. So before this awakening happens, and I cannot honestly tell you how it happens, even with all the years of quite intense spiritual practice that I've had, I don't know how the freedom happened. It was always here, I know that. I was never not this, but being aware of it and experiencing it, that's a whole other thing, isn't it? If you don't experience this now, you know that this is a whole other thing, your direct experience of this freedom. And I can't say how this happens. I don't know how it happened for me. I think if we're honest, nobody does. It's always here. But to be free of this conditioning, many, many things go into this freedom. I don't think any of us can really unravel how this freedom happens, how we become aware of this freedom and stop the conditioning, stop believing it, stop believing the identity. I, me, mine. But it does happen, and it is always here, and this is your true nature, and you have never been apart from this, ever, nor could you ever be apart from this. You are already fully enlightened. You just don't know it. You just haven't experienced it yet because the dream is too strong in you. Your attachment to this dream is too strong. Your attachment to your costume, to your dress up, is too strong. Well, I shouldn't even say too strong. Your attachment is strong. You're not willing to let go yet. That's all. You're not willing to let it all go. You're not willing to let the dream collapse. And that's what happens. Awakening is the dream collapsing. Enlightenment is not building up step by step the different practices, the different knowledge, all the different spiritual training and practices that we've learned. It's not building up these things step by step, although that's useful too. I'm not saying that's not useful, it is. But that's not what brings us to the realization of our true nature. Because the true nature is always here. You understand? The true nature is always here. So we don't build up to get to a true nature. That would be if something wasn't here. We would create it. We would build up and practice and do all these things, and then we would create our true nature. We would create enlightenment. But that isn't what happens at all. We are already fully enlightened. That is our nature. We've never not been this. So we come into this realization somehow when we're ready and willing to let the dream go. To let this illusion of I, me, mine, of me and my life, to let it go. To see it as a dream and let it go. And Halloween is a wonderful example of this, isn't it? I mean, you see the children come to your door, if they do that, often they don't, do that as much anymore. In Sedona, they go up to Uptown. But you see children and adults in costumes, pretending, putting on costumes, pretending that they're something. And it can remind you that you're doing that too. You've been doing that all your life. You've been putting on a costume, putting on an I, me, mine, putting on a story of me and my life. And although the story changes, right, throughout your life, the story has changed, but yet it's still a story. It's still a costume, and it always will be a costume. Often we're trying to become something, aren't we? We're trying to become enlightened, trying to become awakened, trying to become a healthy person, trying to become a more compassionate, kind person, a more successful person, a person that's free of suffering. We're trying to become and improve and polish up this person. This is what self-help is about. And much spiritual teaching is about this too. Becoming a better person, becoming enlightened, becoming awake. And at the core of this becoming is this sense of I, the sense of a self. If you didn't have the sense of self, what would be becoming? Nothing can't become something. What would be becoming without this I? So anytime we want to improve or become something, there's always this sense of an I that wants to do that. When we're free of this sense of I, there's no need for becoming. We're already complete. We always have been complete. There's no room for improvement to our true being, to our true nature. It's already complete. It's completely complete. So that's the difference between being and becoming. We're always trying to become. That means improve this self, have less suffering for this self, create some, learn some spiritual practices and some spiritual knowledge that will help me have less suffering. Go to a psychiatrist so I'll have less suffering. Go to a doctor so I'll have less suffering. Find ways to have less suffering. This is all becoming. All of this is becoming based on this sense of I, the costume of I. And it's interesting, Ramana Maharshi's advice, and this is long before Ramana Maharshi, this who am I has been a practice in spiritual traditions, long before Ramana Maharshi was born. But it's a wonderful practice because when we get down to this core of I, it doesn't have the solidity of I, the child, and I, the parent, and I, the friend, and I, all these other I's that we have, all these other, I, the victim, I, the hero, I, the creative genius. It doesn't have that same kind of solidity. The core I, it's very, there's nothing we can say about it. It's not even a costume. It's being itself. Being is not a costume. Being is like throwing off the costumes, getting rid of the costumes, the end of costumes. And then what can you say about your true nature other than that it's free of illusion? But there's nothing else added to it. We understand this I am with nothing added. I am, that's all. Not I am a parent, I am a child, I am a friend, I am a lover, I am a spouse, I am whatever career I have. Not I am this or that. Just I am. Just I am. There's so much freedom in just I am. If you can let go of these roles, if you can just say, no, I am. I am a human. No, just I am. I am a male or female. No, I am. I am a body. No, just I am. Cut off everything that comes after I am. These are dreams. These are illusions. When you shed those, and there's just this pure experience of being, pure experience of amness, you're beginning to experience what you truly are. And it's wonderful. There's so much freedom in this. There's no separation between you and everything else. This is reality. And you can only directly experience reality. You cannot think it. As soon as you think it, you're back in dream world again. As soon as you think you understand it, you're back in dream world again, that's all. You're substituting your thoughts for reality. Again. Just as you've been trained to do. Just as you've been programmed to do. But you can let go of this program. Unlike a computer, you can let go of it. You can stop and just be. You can cut out all the programming, all the noise, and just be. You can take off all the costumes and just be. I'm not saying to be nothing either, because that's something. Nothing is also something. Just I am. Just being. I am nothing is another something, another dream, another illusion, another thought. Just I am. Just pure being. You're returning to what you are, what never could have been left. And yet you've been distracted by your dream, by your costumes, by the story of me and my life. Until that happens, put on the red nose. Take it lightly. These costumes, these ideas of me and my life. Take it lightly. Don't take it so seriously. Use your own jester, your own fool, to relax. This will immediately make your life better. That's why we like comedians, we like people that make us laugh. Because when we're laughing, we're not taking life so seriously. We're not taking ourself primarily so seriously. And there's great freedom in laughter. It's not as free as when we let go of the story completely, of course. We still have the story. It's just a moment of freedom, a moment of laughter. Oh, it's all just a joke. I don't have to take it seriously. We're seeing that it's an illusion for a moment. And that's funny. Often when we first have a powerful awakening, we just laugh our heads off because it's always been here, and we've been searching so long and so hard and so seriously to find what has always been here. And isn't that a joke? Isn't that a cosmic joke? It was to me. I mean, that's how I laughed all day, maybe 12 hours straight. I couldn't help it. I realized my incredible ignorance that I'd had all my life. All this seeking, all this serious effort and seeking, all this thinking I could understand. This great arrogance of the self. It's like ridiculously arrogant. Like a king or a queen, on the throne. I'm very important. I'm very important. I am the center of the universe. I am very important. Take me seriously. I take myself seriously. I certainly take myself seriously. And everyone else should too. The ego is our own king and queen, our own royalty. So if we can laugh at this and take it lightly, just as the kings did with the fool, to be able to laugh at themselves and take it lightly, it was such a huge benefit to them. There's a lot of stress in taking ourselves seriously because we're reinforcing a dream, and we're taking this dream even more seriously. If we take it lightly, we're not attached to it quite as much, and it creates less suffering in our life and less stress. You know this. If you have a sense of humor and you can laugh at yourself, it's so liberating and freeing to do this. You're beginning to see through the illusion. When you take yourself seriously, you're just solidly locked into this illusion. This freedom does not come through thoughts. It's helpful to convince your thoughts that they're not true. The best thing that your thoughts can say is, I don't know. That's the best thought you can have. I don't know. The second best is, no thought is true. So whatever I'm thinking is not true. This is liberating because it's true. We're letting go of an illusion. We're letting go of a dream. The thought, there is no I, there is no separate self, it's not good enough. It's not going to get us to this freedom, to let go of this I. As some people say, that freedom comes from grace. A lot of it comes from our willingness to let go, our willingness not to take this dream seriously, our willingness to see through it, our willingness to let it go. Can we just drop it? Can we just stop? Can we wake up? Can we stop taking our thoughts seriously? Can we stop taking ourselves seriously? Can we not add anything on to I am and just be? Everything is here. In this just being, it's all here. All the knowledge you've been trying to collect and find is here in this beingness. Everything you've been seeking is here in this beingness. In this presence. In this extraordinary presence. So happy Halloween, you all. I did this ahead of time. I know Halloween is coming in 2 weeks, but I figured I would do this ahead of time to give you a chance to see Halloween in a different way. To use Halloween as a reminder of something more than it may seem. To see the fun of putting on costumes as fun. You know? You don't believe when you put on a costume for a Halloween party that you are actually that being. You can play it to the hilt and enjoy it as an actor or actress does, you know, to really get into that role. But you don't believe it. You're not going to go on for the, you know, you're not going to go to work the next day and say, I want to be referred to as Batman, you know, from now on. So you don't take that seriously. And just look at all the other roles that you're playing that you are taking seriously. You don't need to take them seriously either. They're just costumes. They're just illusions. They're just dreams. And just being is real. Just pure beingness. When you experience this pure beingness, you're not going to be so attached to those costumes anymore, because no costume that you can put on, no role that you can play, no sense of yourself as someone comes close to pure being. The joy, the bliss of pure being, the peace, the wisdom of pure being. No role that you can play comes anywhere near close to this. So when you let go, when you experience just I am, just pure beingness, with no sense of what this I is, it's irrelevant really. You don't even need I for I am. Just beingness itself. That is your true nature. And when you experience this fully, you won't be so addicted to the dream anymore. It just can't give you what beingness does. And that's very clear. It's very clear. I am. The very best costume is no costume. The very best identity is no identity. Your mind may rebel or be frightened by this, but just do it. See what it's like. These identities are all here for you. You've made them up and had them and believed them for so long. It's not like they just vanish. They're all here. If you want to put them back on, you can any moment. Easily, effortlessly. You've been trained and conditioned to do that. So why not try what it's like without them? Just for a moment, see what it's like. See if you like it. Only you can know.